Hey guys, it's Hexical here, and today we're going to be building my friend a GMMK Pro, which is a huge upgrade over his current keyboard. But before we do that, I want to talk about a few things. First of all, we officially hit 1,000 subscribers, and that means channel memberships are now enabled. You can join as a channel member for either $5 or $10 a month, and you get a handful of perks for that, like cool custom emotes and more. If you want to learn more about that, go ahead and click the join button that's right next to the subscribe button. Of course, you can also just hit the subscribe button. According to YouTube statistics, only 1.4% of people who actually watch my video are subscribed, and I want that number to go up. It's free and it helps me out a lot too. With all that out of the way, we can go ahead and start talking about all the parts we're going to be using for my friend's GMMK Pro build. Starting with the most obvious, we have the GMMK Pro in black slate. Next up, in this cute container from Kinetic Labs, we have Durock L7 linears we got from Keeps for All. This is one of my affiliates, and I'll have them linked down below with all my others. I also did lube and film these switches. For the keycaps, we're going to be using this budget black on white keycap set from Amazon, which I highly recommend grabbing if you want a keycap set on a budget. We're also hooking him up with this beautiful cable from Tez Cables, which I think will really complement the whole color scheme of the build. And then finally, of course, we're going to be using these Durock stabilizers, which are replacing the GOAT stabilizers that come on the GMMK Pro. Inside the GMMK Pro box, we have obviously the GMMK Pro itself, a nice little sticker, a keycap and switch puller, a USB-C cable, and some extra gaskets. If you want a whole breakdown and unboxing of this, you can go ahead and check out my personal GMMK Pro build video, but we're going to go ahead and just get to disassembling this so we can get into the stabilizers and replace them. After unscrewing everything from the back and removing the knob on the top, we can go ahead and just remove the front plate completely, and that leaves us with the PCB, plate, and foam. Then all you have to do is pop this little wire out and you have everything disconnected. That leaves us with this PCB, foam, and plate sandwiched together, and this has screws all around the back that we have to unscrew, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now too. After spending 10 minutes unscrewing things, you can finally cleanly pull apart everything, and that means we have access to the stabilizers and we can replace them with the Durock V2s that we have, so let's get to that. Considering you guys have seen me replace stabilizers in almost every keyboard build that I've made, we're going to go ahead and just speed through unscrewing and removing these. After getting them all unscrewed, I kind of just wiggled them all out, especially because I honestly didn't really care where the screws went, but I did manage to actually catch them all right here. So now that we have the stabilizers completely removed, it's time to lube and install our Durock V2 stabilizers, so let's get to it. While we're lubing these stabilizers, I think it's a good time to talk about a few things. The first thing I want to talk about is my Discord. If you don't know, I have a Discord server, and in this Discord server we talk about a ton of things, including random tech, keyboards, and more. If you want to join the Discord, there's going to be a link in the description below, and you should definitely check it out. Speaking of the description, you can also find links to my keyboard affiliates. If you're looking for keyboard parts and want to support me, you should definitely use those links below. And finally, if you like this type of content and want to see more of it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video. It really helps me out and it pushes this video to the YouTube algorithm. Now that we've got that all out of the way and the stabilizers installed into the PCB, we pretty much have the PCB complete, but there is one more mod I want to try out on this keyboard, so let's do that. Let me introduce you to something called painter's tape. You've probably heard of it, but you've probably never seen it being used like this. This is called the Tempest Mod, and it's starting to become really popular in the custom mechanical keyboard community. If you want to learn more about it, there's a really great video by Near Lucid that I highly recommend, and I'll leave in the top right. But essentially, all you have to do is take some painter's tape and put it underneath your PCB, which you can see me doing here, but I'm also avoiding the LEDs on the board. Once we finish putting the painter's tape on the bottom of the board, we can finally reassemble the PCB, plate, and foam. When you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure that everything is perfectly lined up, and you're also going to want to make sure that you have these side LED diffusers somewhere where you can actually get them lined up. Then once you've triple checked that everything is in the correct order, you can go ahead and just take your hands and push down on the plate. You should eventually hear a little snapping sound, and this is everything snapping together. And now that we have everything snapped together and screwed in, this is our completed PCB, foam, and plate. And just to review the mods that we did, I replaced the stabilizers, we did the Tempest mod, and I went ahead and removed the front standoffs for more flexibility. Now that we've got that all modded and sandwiched together, we can finally plug it back into the bottom of the board and place it back into where it needs to be. After we got all that done, included putting the front plate back on and screwing everything back together, this is our completely assembled board, and it's ready for the switches we have. As mentioned earlier, for the switches, we're going to be using these Durock L7 linears that I got from Keeps for All. These switches are in a nice all black colorway, and they feature a polycarbonate top housing, a nylon bottom housing, and a palm stem. I personally lubed and filmed these switches for this build too. Now that we've talked about the switches, let's use some video editing magic and just get them installed. And now that we're installed, let's just take a moment to appreciate how good these switches look in the Black Slate GMMK Pro. I mean, honestly, I feel like these switches were made for this build. The final part before this keyboard is completed is the keycap set. This is actually a budget keycap set that I found on Amazon, and I believe it was around $30. So let's go ahead and install these keycaps onto the keyboard. You may also notice that there's 2 white switches, and that's because we ran out of the Durock L7 linears. Once we have the keycaps installed, this keyboard is completely finished. Honestly, I had a lot of fun building this keyboard for my friend, and I think it looks really nice. The black on white theme is one of my favorite keyboard themes. Of course, we need to do the obligatory sound test, so let's get into that and make sure to watch the whole thing for the YouTube algorithm. Overall, I think this keyboard sounds great. The spacebar is a little bit hollow, but that's just something from the cheap keycaps. And now that the build is completely done, it's ready to be packaged up and shipped out to my buddy in Las Vegas. If you were interested in a full review of the GMMK Pro, I'd highly recommend checking out my personal build video, which I'll have in the top right. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya.